updated list of members of every church. Member register. The church manual given, I can give you I will give you the material if you need to take it with you in the USB with the presentation. The whole forms. Every church should have their own members file. It's a page with the history of the member, with the personal information of the member. Church letters. So many times members are transferred. We don't know how the process is not done properly. Then we don't know which member is where he belongs. What is the regulation of the church manual for letters? There is two regulations. One is the member itself, he asks for the transfer. But what happens if he don't ask for the transfer? That comes to the second regulation. What is the second regulation? Do you remember?
3 months.
No, it's not 3 months. What does it say, the church manual? After 6 months is automatically, but not automatically member, the church now will send the letters asking automatically. Because when it happened that sometimes there are years, they say, no, I belong to that church, but he don't live in that church. We cannot keep those systems like that. If they pass a certain time, they automatically are transferred, not automatically in the books, but the secretary then should send the letter and receive the letter and include them in the church. It's important to fulfill, and then you will solve the problem of many issues of the letters to where the church members belong. Church election, another file that should be prepared by the secretary regularly. There we have also the missionary reports. And I want to emphasize this because I have seen problem in the statistics. From where do we get the missionary statistics? From where is the start? Please tell me, from where do we get the missionary statistic? What is the start? How do we get that? Right, that is important. We need to do it in the 10 missionary minutes. Because if we don't do it in the 10 missionary minutes, you will not be able to get the statistic accurate. It's impossible. Because you will not tell the member, please tell me how many Bible studies or visits you did in the whole month. Can you remember? I cannot remember. Then if you take the statistic weekly, the form, it gives 13 weeks quarterly. That is for each Sabbath. Then you will gather the information. And we also, as pastor and worker, we should contribute in those statistics in order to get the information. Then we will get accurate information. If we don't do this practical element, we will not have a statistic accurate. What does the statistics show? Why do we need the secretary reports? Why do we need the missionary reports? These are thermometers. It shows how is the life of the church. If you don't collect reports, then everybody's okay. But if you start collecting reports, and I have done less activity, I feel that I never raise my hand because I'm not doing much for my church. Then automatically motivate the members to work. When we get the report, sometime, brethren, and I hope it's not our activities, but I'm just mentioning you facts. Majority of the reports, when we receive from countries, I make it mathematic because reports is mathematic. We receive in general conference report every 6 months from secretarial report. Then we do, okay, how many workers? Maybe 20 workers. Then how many Bible studies was done in the 6 months? Maybe 200 Bible studies. Say, wow, it's a big number of Bible studies. But divide the 200 now. For how many weeks is the 6 months? How many weeks are 6 months? 26 weeks. Divide 200 by 26. How many do you get? And then how many workers was in that area? Divide it again, 200, or the result that you got by 20 workers. Majority of the case is below 1. That means that only if you count the workers, they are having less than 1 Bible study per week. That is impossible. The statistics are wrong, or the workers are not working sufficiently as we should do, because our main activity as workers, missionaries, is not administration. This is part, it's necessary, it's system of the Lord, but it's the souls. Bible study is being in the street, even if we are in administration. I tell, when I give the seminar in all countries, leaders in all areas, including treasury, including administration office staff, we are being paid by tithes. What is the purpose of tithe? Is the sharing of the message, missionary work. Then we cannot justify if we are not really doing the missionary work. This is very important. That's why let's try to be more dynamic, more active with the souls on doing systematic work. Also, there is another statistic for the youth. And maybe you remember, what are the areas in the statistic of the youth that need to be sent to the General Conference from the field? There are several sections in the statistics. Activities one. What is the other one? Age and groups. Why do I mention this? Because it should help you in your own analysis. I'm sharing with you how do I make the analysis of those reports. I see the report is having two groups, member and non-members, and also age. In one of the groups, it mentioned there are young people between 20 and 30 that are non-members. When I ask myself many times, can these people be baptized between 20 and 30? Yes, they are in good age. And we have reports on how many big numbers. Big numbers, sometimes the same amount or sometimes bigger than the members are the non-members between 20 and 30. And these are people that can be prepared for baptism. Then work systematically in this group of people that should be prepared for baptism, and also in activities. They had a list of activities that we need to have for the youth. Many times in the report, there are very few activities mentioned there. It's because we are not giving so much importance to the work of the youth department. Church committee, just want to emphasize here that the one that called the committees is always the leader. Church election, I don't want to go to details. Nominating committee is important to work on, is important. My recommendation is when the results of the nominating committee be given to the churches, be careful not to give too much comments, because then we break the principle of the committee is to keep ethics in the comments. If any have a question, let him do it for the president of leading the meeting, but avoid comments related with the nomination. Vacancy in the office. I want to emphasize here two elements. Should an officer not fulfill his responsibility or not be an example of the believer, he should be released from his office by the committee. If you have an officer that for certain reason cannot be active, talk to him. See if he can work them maybe through an assistant. But if he cannot work, don't wait until 2 years. Because you say he was elected by the delegation. Then when 2 years come, brothers, I could not do nothing. This is not good for our church life. And from the other side, when there is somebody that is vacant because maybe somebody resigned or you need to remove somebody, do not forget that you need to have the higher level of the organization to replace this person in order to ethically be correct in the nomination of a replacement. Here the church manual mentioned the committee may select a replacement in the presence of the president of the next higher level of organization of his authorized representative. Dissolution of the church. This is also a point that had affected the church in many places, that the dissolution, when such point came, it have done wrong. You need to follow a certain process. When it's important, because then the people complain when the complaint is justified. You need to be careful. First, you need to consult with the higher level. You need to have a meeting with the church. You need to inform the church. If you do not act properly, will be the church dissolved. You have a second meeting with the church, and then you inform them, brethren, this church cannot continue like that. Approve first before that in the committee the dissolution of the church. But when you dissolve the church, this is what I want to emphasize. They are not automatically disfellowshed. They remain as isolated members. And then the case of each member is going not to be under the responsibility of the field committee or the union committee, depending on the case, and they are the one that call the person. You cannot disfellowship just in the committee. You need to give the right the person to come to the committee. And if the person do not come, be careful. Do not proceed. Use the text of, I think I have here, Titus 3:10, that give a second chance. If the person do not come, you proceed. You don't need to wait eternal until the person decides to come. No. But avoid the first meeting, then in the second meeting you do. But then you need to deal case by case in the committee. Don't do it because sometimes we just proceed in the beginning on this dissolve, on this fellowship, everything. And this is not correct. Go step by step. Give time for the people to reconsider and appeal them to solve the issues and to repent. Creation of the children department was in level of Philos Union. You can have that department. We already read the resolution of delegates. This is also let's continue some other important elements. Finance committee time is up, yeah. Especially I want to mention there is the resolution that is from South Africa. We will not read it now, just mention in relation with when there is issues related with ministers. And it's important to consider that in order to avoid more complication that we usually have. There is a committee that needs to be set up, brethren, on the whole process, how to deal with ministers that are having problems. I hope that will not be the case of any one of us, but it's important to consider all those regulations and to try to work as much as possible, keeping the order, maintaining the system in our church. Because when there is church, when there is order, there will be unity, and we will be having a clear identity for the church, for the member. May the Lord help us to respect the order in the church, and also not be ashamed. Because many people, they do not know how to justify the church manual and consider this as human regulation. It's not human regulation. It's a system that the Lord had established for order in the church. Amen.